Exposed. The heartwarming truth behind my son's Christmas wish, a life-changing choice revealed. In the quaint town of Maplewood, the trees sparkled as the first snow blanketed the streets, bringing with it a magic that only Christmas could conjure. 12-year-old Jake sat cross-legged on the living room floor, pencil poised over his blank Christmas list. As his heart raced, he scribbled furiously, his mind swirling with hope not for a shiny new bike or the latest video game, but for a new wheelchair for his best friend, Tommy. Tommy had a tough life, filled with stares and whispers that made Jake's gut twist. He was different, yes, but that only made Jake want to help him more. Each laugh from the other kids felt like a punch to Jake's heart. He watched Tommy struggle to join in the fun, and it lit a fire in him. If I could give him a new wheelchair, maybe he'd feel like he belonged, Jake thought, tears in his eyes. His father, a rugged mechanic with a faded baseball cap and kind eyes, would often say, "Hard work builds character, son." But Jake's wish came with a weight. How could he expect his family to sacrifice even more? With Christmas just around the corner, his family's financial struggles weighed heavy on their spirits. Tension crackled in the air. "Jake, we need to focus on what we can manage this year," his mother said, worry etched in her face. "We can't help everyone. But Mom, Tommy needs help. He's my friend," Jake pleaded, his heart racing. The warmth of family values clashed with his desire to extend kindness beyond his family's embrace. As he gathered the courage to speak out, Jake decided to lead a charity drive, fueled by the belief that kindness could spark change. But as he shared this idea, he was met with disbelief. "Why should we help them? They're different," whispered a group of kids nearby, scowls on their faces. The cozy town that once felt like a welcoming embrace now felt like a hard, cold wall. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue facing the relentless buzz of doubt. Jake felt something rise within him. He couldn't stand back any longer. One chilly afternoon, he saw a group of kids hurling insults at Tommy as he struggled across the playground. With trembling hands, Jake stepped forward, fury igniting his voice. "Stop it!" he yelled, his heart pounding like a drum. "Tommy deserves respect. Just because he's different doesn't mean he's less than you." The silence that followed was deafening. The crowd shifted, eyes wide with shock. Jake felt the weight of 1,000 gazes weighing on him. Would they stand beside him? Would they be inspired, or just turn away again? As Jake faces the uncertainty of his town's reaction, he wondered if this Christmas could truly be a turning point, not just for Tommy, but for them all. Could their hearts thaw like the winter snow? Or would the divisions deepen like frost over a barren landscape? The thought hung heavy as he took a shaky breath, longing for a Christmas morning that could warm even the coldest hearts. The hushed crowd finally stirred, and Jake's heart raced as he caught glimpses of different emotions flitting across the faces around him. Some kids looked ashamed while others merely scoffed. Jake held his breath, hoping to see allies emerge from the group. "Why are you standing there? Don't just watch," he urged. His voice was steadier now, fueled by a newfound determination. From the back, a brave soul stepped forward, Jessica, a girl with bright red glasses and a fierce spirit. "I don't know why we treat Tommy this way," she said, her voice unsteady but clear. "He's just like us. He deserves a chance." A few kids exchanged nervous glances, unsure of how to respond. Jake felt hope flicker in his chest. Maybe, just maybe, they could start to change hearts. "Yeah, he's just a kid," shouted another voice, this one belonging to Alex, who was known for his athletic skills but usually kept his opinions quiet. "He's got every right to be here." Slowly, a wave of reluctant nods began to ripple through the crowd. Jake encouraged it with a smile, feeling warmth spread through him. "If we can come together for Tommy, we can show everyone that differences don't matter. Let us raise the money for the wheelchair." Seeing his friend rally support ignited a fire in Alex's chest. "Count me in. I'll talk to my dad about using his garage for a bake sale." The energy built, and soon they all started suggesting different ideas. A car wash, a holiday talent show, each idea brought fresh excitement. But just as the atmosphere shifted, the teasing whispers crawled back. "And what's in it for us?" Some boys sneered, their arms crossed defiantly. Jake's heart sank. They had been doing so well. Before Jake could respond, Jessica chimed in again. "It's not about what we get, but what we give. They might think they're better than us, but real friends stand up for each other." With each word, Jake felt a sense of community growing. It wasn't only Tommy who needed this change, it was them all. It was bigger than just one wheelchair. As plans began to take shape, Jake could hardly believe how quickly his longing for change was crystallizing. The doubt, the fear, they started to fade, replaced with a warmth that blossomed within him. Maybe the spirit of Christmas was stronger than he had realized. That evening, as he returned home, the snow lightly dusting his boots, he found his parents in the kitchen, whispering over a pot of soup. Their faces looked weary but hopeful. Jake slid into a chair, heart full, and shared the day's victories. His mother's eyes widened, and for the first time in weeks, a smile broke through her worried expression. "Jake, I'm proud of you," his father murmured, squeezing his shoulder. "You're making a difference." Just then, his little sister bounded in with a snowy scarf and mittens, shouting about wanting to join the cause too. Jake chuckled, feeling a buoyancy he hadn't felt in a while. But as they gathered around for dinner, a pang of worry gnawed at him. Would the drive really succeed? Would the community support them? His heart tugged, filled with hope but also fear of rejection. A week later, as Christmas approached with vibrant determination in the air, Jake's excitement was palpable. With a passion ignited, they planned the first event, a community bake sale. He thought of the corner of the park, the aroma of fresh pastries mingling with the laughter of children, and Tommy, smiling and surrounded by friends. Yet, as he lay in bed that night, staring at the twinkling lights on the tree, he couldn't shake the feeling that something unexpected would happen next. Would those who once stood against them stand with them by the end? His heart raced at the thought of the truth hidden under the snow, just waiting to be revealed. What would Christmas truly bring to Maplewood? With his breath held tight, Jake could only wait for the events to unfold, ready to face whatever surprises awaited them all. The day of the bake sale dawned bright and cold, the sun casting a golden glow over the town. As Jake stood in front of the park with his friends, the crisp air was filled with the sweet, buttery scent of cookies and pies. He felt as if time had slowed down, each moment expanding with possibilities. "Look at this!" exclaimed Jessica, holding up a tray of vividly decorated cupcakes, each one topped with a tiny snowflake. Her enthusiasm was contagious. Jake smiled at her, appreciating her spirit. "Yeah, those look amazing. Tommy's gonna love seeing all this," he replied, his energy rising. The park was buzzing with people. Banners hung from the trees, proclaiming the bake sale in bold letters. As kids from school set up tables, Jake's heart swelled. They were all working together, creating a vibrant tapestry of laughter and chatter. It felt like a holiday miracle in motion. However, just as Jake's confidence began to rise, he spotted a familiar face lingering at the edge of the crowd. It was Mark, the ringleader of the boys who had mocked Tommy. Mark scratched his head and glanced at his friends, his expression unsure. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. Would this be another attempt to undermine their efforts? "Hey Jake," Alex said, pulling Jake from his thoughts. "What if we do a mini talent show between bake sales to keep the vibe up? Just to get everyone involved?" Jake nodded, heart racing with excitement. "That's a great idea, Alex. We can have people sign up. I'll even juggle if I have to." But the laughter was soon replaced with an edge of tension as Mark stepped forward, a scowl anchoring his brows. "So what's the point of all this? You really think people will care enough to come buy stuff?" Jake hesitated, a mix of frustration and compassion swirling in his chest. "It's not about the money. It's about supporting each other." "Supporting Tommy? Yeah, right," Mark scoffed, chuckling with his group. "What if no one shows up? You'll just end up looking stupid." The word stung more than Jake wanted to admit. He felt his friend's eyes on him, waiting to see how he would react. Before he could respond, Jessica stepped closer, her red glasses glinting in the light. "You know what, Mark? It doesn't matter if we look silly. What matters is that we're trying to do something positive. Something that could change a person's life." A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd. Jake's heart surged again with hope, a voice fighting back the fear thrumming in his veins. Yeah, what we're doing isn't just for Tommy, Jake added, looking into Mark's eyes. It's about us being better. It's about showing everyone that kindness is stronger than hate. Mark hesitated, and for a flickering moment, Jake thought he saw a crack in the tough exterior. But then Mark turned, his expression hardening. Whatever, dude, he muttered, retreating with his friends. Don't let it get to you, Alex said, clapping Jake on the shoulder. Today is about us. Look at all this. As the afternoon wore on, families began to gather, happily purchasing treats. Laughter filled the air, and Jake felt an electric buzz of excitement envelop them. They were doing it. They were making a real difference. But just as the crowd thickened, Jake caught sight of a familiar figure approaching, a girl he hadn't seen in a while, her face lit with surprise. When she reached him, he felt a rush of emotions. Is that Emily? Hey Jake. I heard about the bake sale and I just had to come, she exclaimed, her voice lively and bright. Jake felt a swell of mixed feelings. Emily had been one of Tommy's biggest supporters, and the last time he'd seen her, she had moved away to another town. This is incredible. Are you back for good? Well, I came back for the holidays, she said with a smile. And to support you all. Jake's spirits soared as she shared updates on her new school, and how she missed Maplewood. They leaned into each other's energy, both feeling the bond of friendship reignite. Just then Tommy wheeled himself into the park, his face aglow with excitement, his friends surrounding him. The crowd parted, and a hush fell over the bake sale as everyone turned to face him. I'm here, Tommy called out, and a cheer erupted. Jake's heart swelled, tears pricking at the corners of his eyes. They had done this together. They had created a moment that was about unity, hope, and change. But as the crowd surged forward to greet Tommy, Jake caught a glimpse of Mark lingering at the edge, a shadow of contemplation crossing his face. Would he really step in, or would he turn away again? In that heart-stopping moment, Jake knew the day was far from over. A pivotal choice was waiting to be made. Would the spirit of Christmas truly reach every heart in Maplewood? Jake held his breath, waiting for the echo of truth to unfold. The crowd rushed to Tommy, excitement bubbling in the air. Jake stepped back, his heart racing as Emily slipped beside him. This is incredible, right? She said, her eyes sparkling. Yeah, it really is, Jake replied, stealing glances at Tommy, who was basking in the attention. The cheers and laughter were beautiful, but something else nagged at him. In all the noise, Mark still stood off to the side, his brow furrowed and his lips turned down. It was strange. For a moment Jake had thought he saw a glimpse of uncertainty in his eyes, a flicker of something beyond the bravado. But now he was just a shadow again, caught between his friends and the crowd. Hey, let us go see what Tommy's up to, Emily suggested, pulling Jake gently toward the commotion. They wove through the crowd, smiling at families with plates piled high with treats. Look at all this support, Emily said, her voice bright and cheerful. I can't believe how many people showed up. Jake nodded, feeling the warmth spread in his chest. It's amazing. I really hope this helps Tommy, you know? He needs to know he's not alone. As they reached Tommy, laughter erupted again. He was surrounded by friends who were eager to share treats, stories, and hugs. Look, everyone. I brought cookies from home. Tommy beamed, holding up a box. The joy in Tommy's face was contagious, and laughter echoed around them. With every cheer, the weight on Jake's shoulders lightened just a bit more. Then unexpectedly, Tommy's gaze fixed on Mark. Hey Mark, come try some cookies, Tommy shouted, his voice slicing through the twinkling chatter around them. The crowd turned, curious eyes on Mark. For a moment silence took over. Jake's stomach twisted as he watched Mark hesitate. Would he come closer or would he retreat like he had before? Mark seemed to wrestle with something inside himself. He looked at the excited faces around him, weighing the moment. Finally, after what felt like ages, he took a step forward, his friends trailing behind. Tommy's warm smile never wavered as he motioned Mark over. You can have some too. They're really good. Mark's expression was hard to read. He was still wearing the same tough demeanor, but Jake could see the small spark of curiosity behind it. He approached, albeit cautiously. Fine, I guess I'll try one, Mark muttered, trying to come off indifferent. As he reached for a cookie, a hush fell over the crowd again. See, it's not that bad to join in. Jessica chimed in, her eyes wide with hope. We can all share and celebrate together. Jake's heart raced as he witnessed this small moment unfold. Could this be the shift they needed? Mark, standing now among everyone, began to interact with Tommy. It felt surreal, like watching the barriers come down even just a little. But before the moment could fully blossom, Jake noticed Mark's friends' faces darkening. They exchanged glances, and Jake felt a flicker of resistance building up again. What if they couldn't let go of who they were? What if this tiny act of kindness was met with more ridicule? The tension in the air shifted, and Jake could almost feel the battle raging within Mark. I don't know why you'd even bother trying so hard," Mark scoffed, suddenly defensive. "This whole thing is just a big joke, right?" Jake's heart sank, and he felt Emily's hand tighten around his. Was this moment going to crumble before his eyes? Would Tommy be left feeling rejected? Just then, Tommy rolled his wheelchair closer, his eyes steady and unwavering. "It's not a joke, Mark. It's a chance for all of us to do better. You can be part of that too." Jake stared, astonished. Here was Tommy, so full of grace and bravery and facing down adversity even while confined to his wheelchair. Would this simple truth be enough to reach Mark? The crowd was holding its breath, and Jake knew that the next few moments could change everything. Would Mark find the courage to embrace the change? Could he step into the light for once, instead of hiding in the shadows? As he waited for the answer, the air thickened with anticipation, each heartbeat echoing the urgency of the moment. Jake's hopes were pinned on this encounter. Could kindness truly penetrate the cold hearts that fear had defined? Mark looked down at the cookie in his hand. The crowd still hushed, eyes locked on him. A million thoughts swirled through his mind. What would his friends think? What if he ruined this moment? But Tommy's calm resolve was infectious, striking a chord deep within him. "Come on, Mark," a voice broke the silence. It was Jessica again, an encouraging grin plastered on her face. "Just a cookie. You can handle that, right?" Mark hesitated, the weight of his past decisions pressing heavily on his chest. He could hear the whispers of his friends in the background, the judgment hidden in their sideways glances. They had built a fortress around him, and part of him wanted to retreat into that safety. But something else, a glimmer of hope, pushed against the walls he had constructed. Taking a deep breath, Mark lifted the cookie to his mouth. The look of pure expectation on Tommy's face was something he hadn't seen before. Something real. The realization hit him like a wave. The cheering crowd, the laughter, it wasn't a joke, it was vibrant and alive. An invitation he had been too scared to accept. "Okay, just this once," he mumbled, biting into the cookie. It was sweet and surprisingly good. A smile crept onto his lips despite his best efforts to suppress it. Cheers erupted around them, lifting the moment away from tension. Mark looked around, astonished. It felt almost magical. He was surrounded by acceptance, warmth. It was like stepping out from the cold, bleak shadows into a warm sunbeam. "See," Tommy said, his eyes lighting up. "Not so bad, right?" Mark nodded, trying to hide his growing sense of belonging. The crowd erupted in laughter, with many clapping him on the back, and the flicker of camaraderie was undeniable. He felt unsettled but excited at the same time, like he was opening a door he never knew existed. Yet, as the cheers rang out, his friends stepped forward, their faces set in tight lines of disapproval. "What are you doing, man?" one of them hissed, crossing his arms. "Seriously, you're gonna hang out with them?" The laughter dulled, and Mark's moment of joy was quashed by a rush of anxiety. The pressure was mounting like thunderclouds threatening to burst. He looked between Tommy, Emily, and Jake, who watched him with anticipation, and the scowl of his friends. Who was he really choosing to be? "Maybe I am," he shot back, surprising even himself. "Maybe I'm tired of pretending to be someone I'm not." As the words left his lips, he felt lighter. Could this really be his new beginning? But real uncertainty lingered in the air, thick and potent. Tommy's face lit up, and Jake shot Mark an impressed look, but his friends took a collective step back, their faces clouded with disdain. "You want to be like them?" "Pathetic," one of them spat, making sure everyone could hear the contempt in his voice. The atmosphere shifted immediately, darkening like an impending storm. Mark stood at the center, torn between the warmth extending from his new friends and the familiar security his old ones represented. Jake could see the turbulence inside Mark. It was clear this was more than just about cookies. It was about acceptance, friendship, and the kind of courage that changed everything. But would Mark have the strength to take that leap? Just then, a loud crash interrupted the tension as someone stumbled against a table, sending napkins flying. It broke the spell for a moment, everyone looking away just as Mark's eyes searched the crowd, pleading for direction. In that instant, as laughter erupted around them, hope was wavering. Would he risk it all to step out of the shadows once and for all? The answer hung in the air, almost tangible, as the crowd buzzed around them. One decision could lead to a new path, where acceptance reigned over fear. Would he courageously walk away from everything he had known? Or would he let the naysayers pull him back into darkness? Mark took a deep breath, uncertainty swirling within him like a hurricane. Something was about to change, but what would it be? The answer awaited him just a heartbeat away. Mark's heart raced as he stood frozen in place, the cheers around him feeling like an echo of his own inner turmoil. His friends' scowls pierced through the jubilant laughter, each frown a reminder of the comfort he was accustomed to, yet suffocated by. He felt like a marionette, caught between two conflicting strings, uncertainty pinching at the edges of his mind. "Mark, don't be stupid," one of his old friends urged again, his voice heavy with disappointment. "You don't want to throw everything away just to fit in with this crowd." He looked between them, his old friends, their frowns like weights dragging him back, and his new friends who were smiling openly, hands outstretched as if inviting him to join them on a path he had never dared to walk before. Tommy's eyes sparkled with eager support, while Jessica nodded encouragingly, a beacon of light in the storm of doubt swirling around him. Taking another deep breath, Mark felt the warmth spreading through him alongside that cookie-esque sweetness. "Isn't fitting in with you guys just as pathetic?" Mark finally said, the words surprising him even more than those doubts ever could. "I want to accept who I really am." The buzz of laughter felt like a wave lifting him up, yet the tension from his old friends pulled him downward. He didn't want to turn his back on them, but they didn't understand. At that moment, Mark felt the stirrings of a deeper longing for authenticity, a burning need to be seen for who he truly was. "Look, it's just food, right?" he said, trying to lighten the mood. "A cookie isn't going to change my life." But in that moment it felt monumental. It was about so much more than a cookie. It was about connection, acceptance, and a courageous choice. The crowd continued to cheer, and Mark could hear their whispers of hope and encouragement. But would that be enough to drown out the voices of his past? His childhood friends stepped back, muttering among themselves, visibly upset. Mark felt a pang of regret for their disappointment, the familiar ache of leaving things behind gnawing at him. But perhaps this was the moment he needed to risk feeling alone in order to find where he truly belonged. Tommy took a step forward. "You know we're here for you, right? No matter what decisions you make." Mark nodded, his throat tightening. "Yeah," he whispered. "And maybe it's time I believed that." As he scanned the crowd, a part of him felt exhilarated. This was his chance to build something new, to break away from everything he had known. The echo of laughter danced around him, rekindling a feeling he had long thought lost. Suddenly, a loud crash sounded again, this time right next to him. Mark turned to see someone else stumble, the crowd diverting their attention. A table tipped over, sodas spilled, and laughter erupted again, but this time it was tinged with a sense of anticipation, and that split second, an idea sparked in Mark's mind. Perhaps he could create a bridge between these worlds, combine the laughter of both crowds instead of succumbing to the extremes of either one. That thought sent a jolt of excitement through him. Taking a bold step forward, he raised his hands, as if to gather everyone's attention. "Hey, instead of sides, how about we just all hang out together?" The room quieted, eyes widening, surprise filling the air. His old friends glanced at him in disbelief, while the new friends beamed, a flicker of hope dawning amidst the uncertainty. The weight of the moment pressed heavily on him, but the exhilaration ignited within him was undeniable. Mark could feel change brewing, an eager undercurrent that might just pull him closer to acceptance in a way he never imagined possible. But the question lingered. Would those on either side be ready to take that leap with him? It was a new beginning teetering on the edge. The next move was critical. Would he dare to embrace the great unknown awaiting him? The silence hung heavily in the air, broken only by the sound of a soda can rolling across the floor, creating a faint echo that seemed to amplify the tension. Mark's stomach churned as he held his breath. Would his voice, trembling yet powerful, unify them? "Come on!" a girl from the new crowd shouted, her eyes sparkling. Let us try it. Her words were like a drop of color on a blank canvas, the first stroke that could pull the two sides together. Mark felt a rush of hope. Yeah, let us just chill. Tommy added, his enthusiasm infectious. We can find a way to enjoy this together, give it a shot. Mark could see the hesitation in the faces of his old friends. They whispered amongst themselves, unsure. He glanced at Jessica, whose smile remained wide and encouraging. It was a lifeline. What do you say? Mark pressed again, his heart pounding in his chest. Just for tonight? Let us celebrate being together. He took a step closer to the edge where the two groups merged, daring to extend a bridge. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, his best friend Jake scratched the back of his neck and sighed. Fine one night, he muttered, though the reluctance hung thick in his tone. But this better not be some big joke. I swear it's not, Mark exclaimed, his voice lifting with excitement. Relief flooded him as a murmur of agreement spread through the crowd. Glances were exchanged, hope kindling where skepticism once reigned. Okay then, Mark shouted, trying to harness the energy around him. Let us mix it up. He pointed toward the snack table, still littered with the remnants of soda and laughter. How about we grab some food and swap stories? I think everyone here has something worth sharing. As they moved, the atmosphere shifted. Friends from different backgrounds started to mingle, laughter and chatter drowning out lingering doubts. Mark felt like he was finally breathing. The weights of his past began to lift ever so slightly. What's your favorite meme? Jessica asked, her eyes twinkling mischievously as she nudged a hesitant Jake forward. He hesitated, then laughed, the one where cats do anything but acknowledge their owners. The sound of shared laughter warmed the space around them, easing previously tense shoulders. Mark watched as hesitance turned into curiosity, cadences of conversation blending like hues on a palette. That familiar ache for acceptance began to transform into a sense of belonging. But before they could dive deeper, another crash echoed through the room, a beautiful, chaotic reminder of youth. Mark turned to see someone challenge another to a dance-off right in the middle of it all, and as the laughter erupted again, it was contagious. Come on, Mark. Show them your moves. Tommy bellowed, and the crowd erupted. Mark's cheeks heated, but the thrill was undeniable. He hesitated, glancing back at his old friends. Would they laugh at him? But then, a small voice in his head whispered, was climbing out of this shell not what he needed most? With a deep breath he stepped forward, his feet finding a rhythm. Cheers erupted around him, urging him onward, fear replaced by exhilaration. He danced, throwing off any lingering nerves. Then, in that moment of pure joy, he spotted Jake, half laughing and half joining in, his old friend's eyes glimmering with something new. Acceptance? Mark couldn't help but grin wider. Maybe this could really work. Maybe, just maybe, they were all in this together now. As the laughter roared louder, familiarity and difference began weaving together, creating a tapestry of possibility. But as the music thumped underneath the collective heartbeat of the moment, Mark felt a twinge of fear. Was all this too good to last? What would it mean for them all when the music stopped? He caught a glimpse of the hesitant glances still haunting the edges of the room. Would everyone truly embrace this change? In that instant, Mark knew the next step needed to be even bolder. He needed to bring the real truth of himself to the surface. Could he find the courage to reveal his authentic self? And would they accept him completely? Mark wiped his brow, the music still vibrating through him as he took a moment to breathe. The crowd was moving, lost in their own rhythm, but his heart raced with a different kind of anticipation. This was new territory, and he was suddenly acutely aware of how much he had to say. Hey! Jessica's voice cut through the music, bringing him back to the moment. What's next? We should share something real, right? Yeah. Tommy chimed in, enthusiasm lighting his eyes. How about everyone takes a turn sharing something about themselves? Mark felt a knot in his stomach. Sharing something real felt daunting. What would everyone think? Could he truly be authentic, especially in a room filled with faces both familiar and strange? He looked around. Some were nodding, excitement building. He glanced at Jake, whose enthusiastic expression encouraged him. It's now or never, the voice in his head urged. All right, I'll go first. The chatter sank to a hush as all eyes turned toward him. So, something real. I guess I'll just throw it out there. He cleared his throat, feeling more exposed than on that dance floor just moments ago. Last year I really struggled. I had a hard time just fitting in. I felt like I didn't belong anywhere. He paused, the vulnerability washing over him. I guess I still do sometimes. The room felt heavier, the laughter fading into silence. But then he spotted Jessica's gentle smile, reassuring him. Funny thing is, he continued with a weak chuckle, I poured a lot of my feelings into dancing and this whole different side of me. So if you ever see me dance like a fool, well, that's probably why. A ripple of laughter came back, soft yet comforting, bridging the gap that fear had created. I spent so long worrying about what everyone thought of me, Mark admitted. And I realized that I missed out on actually knowing people. So I'm done pretending. The acceptance in the room was palpable. A few nods, grins breaking out, he felt the weight of expectation lift. He could see Jake's eyes sparkling, gratitude reflected back at him for taking that leap. I guess I just want to say, let us really see each other, you know? No more masks. With his heart in his throat, he stepped back, hoping his raw honesty struck a chord. The silence lingered for a moment before Tommy spoke up, a hint of nervousness in his voice. Well, if we're sharing, I'll go next. He took a deep breath. Last summer, my family. Well, we hit a rough patch. I thought everything was falling apart. As Tommy shared his own insecurities and the vulnerability washed over the room, Mark felt a connection deepening. The wave of authenticity rolled through the crowd, taking hold, each story painting a portrait of shared struggles and joys. The atmosphere shifted. Friends and newcomers alike began opening up one by one. It became a circle of acceptance, the walls between them crumbling. Mark smiled to himself as he listened, every voice adding texture to their collective experience. Just as Jake was about to speak, a loud crash echoed from across the room, breaking the moment. The laughter returned in bursts, but it felt different now. Deeper. What just happened? Someone shouted, and the tension that had hung there moments before surged back, but this time with a spark of curiosity and connection. Mark's eyes met Jessica's, and she gave him a smile that sent warmth through him. It's okay, she mouthed, reassuring him. But as the crowd turned toward the ruckus, Mark felt another surge of panic. As their interest shifted, would they forget this beautiful moment of vulnerability? Wait, he called, recognizing the urgency. Let us keep this going. We should celebrate trust. And just like that, it shifted again. Would they heed his call for connection or scatter back into their own worlds? As the room shifted, Mark sensed one last battle within himself. Could he push further? Would sharing another layer risk shattering the fragile bonds they had built together? The answer stood right before him, glimmering like the stars. In this moment, he had the chance to ignite something beautiful. Would he seize it or step back once more? Mark stood at the center of the room, feeling the weight of anticipation pressing against his chest. The loud crash that had interrupted their moment of connection echoed in his mind. He could still hear the fragments of honesty shared moments before, could still feel the warmth of the smiles. That vulnerability had bonded them. For a fleeting second, they were more than just acquaintances. Guys, he called, trying to break through the shifting energy. This is our chance. Let us not lose what we've built. The laughter began to fade as a few voices turned back towards him, apprehension written clearly on their faces. Jessica stepped forward, her gaze steady. Yes, right. We've opened up. Let us keep going. Mark's heart raced. Jessica's faith in him ignited something within. Maybe their connection could hold even under uncertainty. Okay, my turn, he declared, cupping his hands around his mouth to shout above the noise. I want to try to share something else, something more. He took a step closer, the coolness of the wooden floor contrasting with the fire in his heart. Last year, when I felt alone, I didn't just miss the friendships. A few people leaned in, quieting, straining to hear him over the anticipation in the air. I lost sight of who I was. I let the world's opinions drown out my voice. As he spoke, the gravity of his experience materialized into words. I thought if I could just fit in, if I could be what everyone wanted, it would be enough. But in all that conforming, I lost myself. Faces around him reflected understanding, some nodding with quiet sympathy. Tommy shifted restlessly, clearly wanting to add something but holding back. It's exhausting, Mark continued, passion rising in his tone. Trying to be someone else. There are days I wake up and feel like I'm wearing a mask, and if I keep it up, I might forget who I really am. He saw Jessica's eyes brightening, and the openness in the room felt like a blanket wrapping around him. Mark realized he wasn't just pulling others in. He was embracing his own truth, allowing it to resonate. I want to break free from that. I want to dance like no one else watching, laugh like it's my last day on earth, and share my weird thoughts without fear of judgment. I want to be me, flaws and all. Silence blanketed the gathering, and he could sense that shared hushed recognition. Then Jake shifted, breaking the moment but not the vibe. You're not alone, man. He took a step forward. I felt the same way. It's scary, but you're opening a door and I want to walk through it too. Something shifted in the air. The sacredness of vulnerability lingered like sweet perfume, and others began speaking up, sharing their own stories, their own fears. Mark felt the warmth grow, as if each confession was a spark that ignited new fires of acceptance and understanding. Countless intertwining stories filled the air, revealing layers of hardship and strength, laughter and tears all mingling together. The energy spurred them to let go of their past selves, reveling in the truth of who they were. Mark felt a wave of joy wash over him. They were part of something bigger now. Just as someone spoke out about facing loss, a rush of empathy cascaded around. It was powerful and raw. As the night wore on, Mark realized how vital this moment was in all their lives. They were transmuting fear and loneliness into resilience together. But then another loud sound. The sudden crash of laughter erupted, followed by a flurry of voices chatting excitedly about something behind him. What is that? Someone shouted. Curious heads turned onto the commotion, fracturing the moment once more. Mark frowned, concern mixed with hope. Would they allow distractions to pull them apart? His heart raced again because something told him that maintaining this connection would mean fending off the chaos. With each new story shared, he felt the bond stretch beyond limits. Let us not let the noise drown us out, he pleaded. Let us seize this moment, this pulse we've created. Are we ready to break free together? Mark's voice rose above the chatter. Could they do it together? The answer was in their eyes, glimmering with a hint of something beautiful. Hope. Because if we can do this, what else can we conquer? But, as his question hung in the air, he felt a fresh tension creeping in. Would their newfound courage hold strong? Or were they destined to scatter again into the shadows of their comfort zones? The community was buzzing with energy, a warmth radiating from the heart of Maplewood. The Christmas lights twinkled brightly against the twilight, illuminating the spirit of hope that had taken root. Jake felt the magic of the season wrap around him as he dashed through the park, each quickened heartbeat matching the pulse of excitement that electrified the atmosphere. They had come together, and nothing could dampen that joy. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Mark stood at the center of the crowd, his heart swelling with every laughter-filled moment. He had made a choice, a bold leap that pulled him away from shadows and into light. Together with the others, they stepped forward, transforming the scrape of skepticism into a sturdy bridge of connection. Hey everyone! Gather around! Jake called out, his voice cutting through the festive chatter. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. His infectious energy spread, and the crowd converged toward him, their smiles lighting up the winter air. Hand in hand, each child and adult formed a circle enveloping Tommy. Their faces glowed with excitement, anticipation cradling the unsaid emotions like a fragile egg. Mark, standing alongside Jake, felt the weight of what they accomplished stirring within him, a cocktail of pride and exhilaration. Tommy, Jake said, turning to his friend, you're the reason we're all here. You taught us that kindness and courage go hand in hand. A collective yeah rose among them, affirming every heartfelt word. Jake's eyes sparkled as he continued, we raised enough money to get you that new wheelchair. It's perfect for you, and today we celebrate you. A cheer erupted from the crowd, each voice lifting the celebration higher. Tommy's cheeks flushed a radiant pink as realization washed over him like the first snow of winter. Thank you. You all believe in me, he exclaimed, tears glistening like small diamonds in his eyes. And that moment, as the sharp cold of winter wrapped around them, warmth spread through their hearts, melting away past divisions and fears. It was more than just a new wheelchair. It was a symbol of belonging. The boundaries that once felt insurmountable crumbled, giving way to connection and familiarity. Mark stepped forward, his heart racing braver now, wrapped in newfound confidence. I want to thank you all too, he proclaimed, his voice steady and clear. You showed me how powerful it is to choose kindness over mockery. Trying to fit in led me away from who I truly am, but together we have rewritten that story." His words hung in the air, a tantalizing promise of togetherness. The group erupted in agreement, their voices overlapping in a chorus of transformation. "We're all unique," someone shouted, a ripple of laughter chasing their words. "Together we rise," echoed another, further cementing the energy burgeoning in their hearts. Suddenly, Jake's little sister ran forward, brandishing a colorful wreath she had crafted at home. "Look at this. It's for you, Tommy," she squeaked, her pride radiating like sunlight. "You're part of our family now." Tommy accepted the wreath, his eyes brimming with tears. "I always wanted to be part of something special. You all made that happen today. Thank you for opening your hearts to me." And as he slipped the wreath around his neck, it was like the final touch that completed a beautiful picture. Amid the laughter and collective warmth, Mark's old friends hesitated at the edge of the crowd, expressions mixed with uncertainty. But as they slowly stepped forward, a glimmer of understanding reflected in their eyes. They forged a tentative bond, the past washed away with the sweet scent of acceptance that lingered in the air. "Hey Mark," one of them called, nervous but tentative. "We're sorry we doubted you. Can we join?" The crowd parted, welcoming them with open arms. The essence of community pulsed through them like a heartbeat, quieting any remnants of the hostility that had once lingered between them. "Yeah, come on," Jake called back, no trace of resentment in his tone. "This is for everyone." As they melded into the group, it became an invaluable moment of realization. Love and kindness could triumph over anything. The bond they created was alive, electric, and full of promise. With laughter cascading like a vibrant waterfall, they all came together in celebration. Under the glow of twinkling lights, with the scent of gingerbread and pine wafting through the air, the town of Maplewood transformed that night. What had begun as a simple Christmas wish had grown into something so much more. As Jake looked around at his friends old and new, his heart brimmed with joy and gratitude. They forged a journey together that took them beyond the boundaries of indifference, launching them into a world filled with acceptance, hope, and love. In that shared moment, beneath the snowy branches and laughter, they had discovered the true meaning of Christmas, not just the gifts given, but the compassion shared. And just like that, Jake understood. This was the magic of Christmas, the spirit of transformation that radiated not from the ones wrapped in shiny paper, but from the hearts of those willing to open themselves to one another. As the night drew to a close, he smiled, knowing this was only the beginning of their journey. And in this small town on this starry night, hope had taken root. Now, as we wrap up this heartwarming tale, remember there's always room for kindness, and your voice matters. If you found inspiration in today's story, you need to subscribe now to catch the next exclusive tales. Like this video now to feed the algorithm and help us spread more joy. Comment below to share your feelings about this ending. We can't wait to hear your reactions. And don't wait not even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Join us in our mission of spreading kindness and positivity together.